Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because my wife, well, she had epidural, but it was bad. It was the most pain I've ever been in. That kidney stone, no, never again.
Yeah, it is.
I can keep from it.
Because you're.
How did it compare to your having a baby?
You know, the
Well, when I had my daughter, it was sorry, Doc. He's
the
trying to actually talk.
ureter, which is the little tube that goes from your kidney to your bladder, is tiny, and it's like, you know, driving a semi truck through a little narrow place, and it just squeezes the
It was
shit
bad.
out of it.
Kidney
It's
stones.
bad.
Kidney stones bad.
Kidney stone's bad.
Hello, everybody.
So are we
we're
on
live.
board now?
Yeah, so we should have started the podcast about 20 minutes ago. So just a quick recap. We've been talking about methylene blue was something we should have had the full conversation on the pod, but just to kind of recap, me and Dr. Roy have been on methylene blue for several months. We both have seen benefit.
7 months for me.
Yeah, a lot more for you.
Yeah.
I've a few months, at least 3 or 4 months. I've seen high benefit for me. So like usually I'm a 20-minute nap guy.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I do it more as a meditation, but I usually always fall asleep. But like what I found since I've started taking methylene, well, about a month after I started taking methylene blue, I can't really fall asleep. For a nap. I mean, I kind of like, I can breathe and meditate, but I don't nap.
That's the same thing for me. Before I started taking methylene blue, this was after I retired, I would take a nap maybe an hour and a half every afternoon. And now I'm not even tired to do that.
That's pretty impressive.
And yeah. And
well, Travis had a kidney stone, he said, earlier in his life.
Yeah, early. Yeah.
But he only was on methylene blue for a month.
No, it probably was 2 months. Probably
2 months, and he had a kidney issue. It had kidney pain. When he stopped, it went away. So all I'm ever going to say on this is do your own diligence and use your own implied consent. Talk to a doctor. Dr. Roy talks about his experience. I talk about my experience. Travis had a slightly different experience, so it's like, well, and if he didn't see a lot of benefit on the other side, then don't worry about trying it again.
I might try it again at some other time.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So like, come off of it. But if you go back on it for a month or two and the kidney pain comes back, methylene blue might
not for you.
No, it's not for you.
Not for you.
Not for you, dude.
But, methylene blue was used before we had antibiotics to treat urinary tract infections. And it was very good for doing that. And then nowadays we don't have as much urinary tract infections, and we treat them with antibiotics, and it works good.
Well, it's completely hearsay and anecdotal. I'm also hearing some positive signals. Obviously, I'm always looking at this stuff and paying attention, but apparently there's some positive signals with methylene blue and COVID prevention. And I'm hearing this just signals. Yeah. I'm not saying there's no studies, there's no real evidence at all, but I'm hearing it from the same people that are talking about the things that we talk about all the time.
Well, let me tell you about COVID and respiratory things in general. I started taking nasal iodine probably in 2020. It's 1 squirt in each nostril in the morning, and between 2020, well, let's put it this way, I had COVID in October and November of 2020, and I hadn't started that, so I started it in 21, and I have had one respiratory infection of any type since that time. And I am out and about, people coughing, that sort of thing. I don't wear masks, even though some douchebags do all the time. But this worked well. I've had one respiratory problem, and that was a cough, and I think it was because I was around somebody that had a bacterial thing, and I got it. But it's worked really well for me.
I think it's Dr. Brett Weinstein who on the Dark Horse. I believe he's taken methylene blue, and he said he's taken, it's either ivermectin or methylene blue. I'll report back on that one. But he said he's one of those guys. He's got a wheat allergy, a severe wheat allergy. Like it causes him real problems. And he has said this year, since he's started this new regimen, he's not been nearly as sick overall as he has been in the past. So who knows if it's because he's completely eliminated wheat from his diet. Maybe that's part of it. But he's also on some other things, ivermectin and methylene blue, and he's not getting sick.
I would strongly recommend people who get a lot of colds, get a lot of coughs, to use nasal iodine.
Nasal iodine.
It's you'll get a little bottle from Amazon, and it'll last 3 months, and that's worth it. It's about $17 for one of those, and it lasts 3 months.
So it's like a 1 squirt a day?
Yeah, 1 squirt in each nostril every day, and that worked very well for me.
Okay, so let's hit on, since our local news doesn't really talk about this kind of stuff, and I feel it's super relevant. I know Dr. Roy came armed with several things today. We can go.
I have 2 arms.
Oh.
I came double armed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I wish I were closer to you sometimes. I just whack you on the side of the head.
That's why we keep him over there. You need one of those punching back.
I need something from under the table, like thumper.
Yeah, thump him.
So we want to talk about the Biden PSA situation a little bit. Want to talk about Ozempic because it's very hot. I think I have a couple clips of the Ozempic. So while you're talking about, I don't think I have a Biden clip. I do.
So
have,
I can just
I
talk
do have
about.
I do have something on. I always call it tinnitus, but it's tinnitus.
Yeah,
which is the ringing in the ear sensation that a lot of us older people get. The people that have destroyed our ears with
or younger
loud
drummers,
music.
Or younger drummers.
Well, I mean, I always had. Well, you see that amp over in the corner? That's a 30-year-old Orion 250. One of the most badass amps that you've ever seen in your life. I mean, and you can run 4 mega subs off of it and basically rattle your car apart. But I'm thinking about putting it up for sale, so that's why it's sitting over there.
I thought you were going to like put it in Marshall's car or something.
No. I'm trying not to. I don't want him to have tinnitus whenever he gets older. Going to try to avoid that stuff. And so, Doc, whichever, if you want to go down there.
I'll go talking about Biden first.
Okay, let me see. I might have
because all of a sudden he had aggressive prostate cancer, and it's in his bones, and they're treating it. But according to some sources, he had not been tested for his PSA, and PSA stands for prostate something antigen, and it measures how much is going on in your prostate. It's a simple blood test. And apparently one source, more than one source, has said that he hadn't had one for about 10 years. And the PSA testing it's not a real good test for that. You always have to go and do something else if the PSA is out of order. But his PSA hadn't been tested for 10 years, and then all of a sudden he's got prostate cancer with it in his bones. Now, prostate cancer can invade the bones, but the vast majority of men who get prostate cancer will die from something else. We always said you don't often die from prostate cancer, but you will die with it. The odds of any male having prostate cancer are about the same percentage as their age. So me, 75 years old, I have a 75% chance of having prostate cancer right now. But my PSA is normal. But that doesn't always mean that you don't have prostate cancer, because it can sit there and not really cause much. But generally, if the PSA is elevated, the first thing that you do is an ultrasound of the prostate. you're going to hate this, Travis. They put an ultrasound form up your butt
Yeah.
and take that. Did they do that to you when you had your kidney stone?
No. Well, they might have when I was out.
Yeah, no,
I
they
don't-
wouldn't have done that.
No.
But anyway, and if you see anything abnormal on the prostate with the ultrasound, then you do biopsies. And generally, when they do biopsies for somebody with an elevated PSA, they'll get it from 3 or 4 different locations, and there's a way to tell how aggressive the cancer is, and it's called the Gleason score. His was 9 out of a possible 10, so it's a very aggressive cancer. But you know, if somebody has a high PSA and you biopsy it and it has a Gleason score of 4 or 5, something like that, you typically do not do anything with those. You just watch it. And because I'll tell you this, when PSA first came out back in the 90s, anybody with an elevated PSA immediately got an ultrasound and a biopsy, and if they had any cancer at all, they would have a radical removal of the prostate. And about 50% of the people who had this surgery were impotent. About 60% were incontinent, so they were dripping urine. And if they had done any radiation of the prostate, you bleed out your behind. So it was really bad. And then finally, about the 2000s, 2002, 2006, they said, you know, we're not saving lives by doing that. You know, I told somebody in the 90s, he said, everybody ought to get a PSA every day. No, not every day, every year. And I said, wait, if you have prostate cancer, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's aggressive and going to do anything, because this particular guy had had his prostate removed because of that. So what they came up with was watching and waiting on surgery. So they're not doing near as many radical prostatectomies. And consequently, a lot of young men in their 40s and 50s had their prostate ripped out, and they're dripping urine, and they're impotent.
It sounds like
So
a good
it's
time.
bad. Yeah, it's not a good time
not
at
at all.
all, because I knew some guys that, because they would immediately, as if you had prostate cancer, you had to have the surgery or radiation.
Well,
Radiation
you know what
is
my
just
automatic response to you saying that, Doc, is you said that basically the protocol is to watch it.
Yeah.
And that's the typical protocol, to watch it. I guess my protocol would be, would it be intelligent for us to have test groups saying, okay, I have prostate cancer, it's been confirmed.
They've already done.
Let's do ivermectin and Finben.
Oh, not ivermectin and Finben.
You know, or some other alternative therapies, and
Yeah.
and you know, see what that long term or short
what
term.
they found out was a significant number of men who had prostate cancer never progressed, and they died of something else. Because I always used to tell my patients, you know, only about 10 or 15% of patients with prostate cancer will die from prostate cancer. They will die from something else. They'll have a stroke, or they'll have a heart attack, or they'll develop dementia and die from that.
Well, so you know, at the end of the day, then it's mitochondrial dysfunction at some level, right?
Maybe.
Cellular it's a cellular issue. Cancer is a cell. The cells are
Well, some people would have you believe that it's all caused by parasites. And
there's a lot of, I got a lot of clips going around that I'm starting to pay attention to.
I'm not so crazy about that. I did treat a guy recently at his behest because he wanted to get rid of all the parasites in his body. And I said, have you actually seen anything coming out when you take a crap? And he said, no, I really haven't. And he said, but they might be microscopic. And I said, yeah. They might be.
So again, I'll play the devil's advocate or his side of things, and what again, the stuff that you and I, the clips that we're paying attention to, all of the stuff we're hearing from McCullough and all these people talking about ivermectin. Ivermectin is an anti-parasitic.
Sure.
And it just so
primarily
happens. Yeah, and they're also adding Finbin, which is anti-parasitic for dogs. So again, to me. We can say, well, cancer is not parasitic, or we don't know if cancer is a parasite, but it's really strange that an anti-parasitic has had a lot of success on people that have cancer. There's been the Joe Tippins protocol. So what's the thing there?
You say a lot there, but I would bet that it's fewer than 0.1% have taken that protocol. Now.
You mean just general population that has cancer?
No, I'd say less than 1% of people with cancer have taken that, and not all of them do very well.
Well, not all of them, but not all cancer patients do well.
Some of them do.
Yeah,
that's right. So don't immediately go out and start taking ivermectin every day to kill the parasites in your body and keep you from having, cancer. And if you do a parasite cleanse, you have to have something that works on the single cell things like Giardia, and that metronidazole will take care of. That's an antibiotic, and you give it to them for a week, and it gets rid of that. Generally, if you're an outdoorsman and you happen to drink clear water that looks real tasty, that has Giardia in it, and it has some other things in it that you could potentially get. But most of the time, people with Giardia are having loose stools and maybe even occasionally blood. So,
what's more Giardia? Is that what you said?
Giardia.
So what is that? What is that?
That's a single cell organism that lives in water. And generally, if you drink what appears to be clear water out in the open, it has Giardia in it because Giardia is endemic in beavers. So if there are beavers with a beaver dam around there, you can bet there's Giardia in that. And
is this where we plug life straws now?
We don't have a plug for that. I'm not selling them. But if I were selling them, I might say, let's get a life
Most
straw.
of the people who get Giardia are symptomatic. They have diarrhea and all that. There was another single organism that got into the water supply at an Air Force base that I was at, and we probably had 80 or 90 people who were sick with this, and every one of them was, passing blood and doing.
So is the only way you can get Giardia from contaminated water? Is that what you're telling me?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much.
All right, let's circle back around. We've gone down that we went pretty deep down that rabbit hole, and I'm staying on the Biden PSA. I have a clip here that's got. I haven't really talked about Bill O'Reilly much at all, but he had a really good conversation with Chris Cuomo, and this is kind of where I want to talk about local media and its failure, and even national media and its failure, and how they covered for Biden for the years leading up to him being elected, and even through, and the dangers that we were faced with then, and what problems that it's caused by them covering for him. So we don't really know who is running the country first and foremost, because his brain hasn't been there for several years. If they were auto pinning, I mean, he wasn't out in front of the public. He wasn't having, I would imagine.
Well, and they were saying it was because he had a stuttering disorder.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Well, I went back to the 1970s and saw some cuts of him, and he didn't have any stuttering at all.
No.
And I know I've got 2 stepsons with stuttering. So
yeah. So I want to play this clip. I don't think it's a long one. I think it's less than a minute and a half. And let's go. Oh.
Did we not know that there is to know that he forgets names and dates? We saw that on TV together.
You don't look. Out of his staff and the Democratic Party came a consistent drumbeat of the guy's on it, the guy's good, the guy's doing his job, the guy's good for America. Consistent, almost every day. Then they keep him away from the press. He doesn't talk to the press. Okay, that's covering up who he is. And then every time he made a mistake, there was another excuse. And then the CNNs of the world and the MSNBCs of the world, open border, they didn't care about the open border. All right, inflation going more than 9%.
But that's different. That has nothing to do with his mental health.
That.
That's just bad policy.
Sure it does. He didn't. Yeah, but he didn't make the policies. He didn't make them. That's what you're making your mistake. He was a zombie from day one. On News Nation. I don't know
about his immigration policies. They were all the same ideas. He believes that there's an openness to this country and that we need new blood.
Right.
And he was worried about the left flank. I don't have to agree with you. You can yell
absurd.
at me.
It's an absurd contention when you have all the problems that developed. It's absurd. The man was not in charge.
So that was a good clip, and what we can say, what my take on it is, he was vice president under Obama, and Obama's immigration policy was much different, and border security was much different.
Yeah.
But Biden was supportive of that, and that's all he talked about is a secure border. And Obama was the deporter in chief for a very long time. I mean, he was deporting people at a rapid rate. And so what O'Reilly pointed out is very pointed to me. I don't think Biden knows that the borders were wide open. I don't think he really has any idea. I don't think anybody told him. I feel like that was done for a very specific reason.
Sure.
You don't leave a border wide open for no reason. You've got a reason for it.
Yeah, and the reason was to bring all these people so that they would get put into the census, and there would be more Democrats.
They get assigned a Social Security number, get them on welfare, on public assistance, get them in the and here we are.
So can I be a conspiracy theorist for a second?
It's probably something we already believe. But
Have you seen the graph of the total amount of voters for like the previous 4?
Yeah.
And then you've got the Biden, Trump, and there was like all these extra votes.
Yeah.
And then this most recent election, it was back down.
Yeah.
Like, there was just this
it's mysterious
major influx.
Way more than Obama got.
Yeah.
Which a lot of Republicans voted for Obama. A lot of people came out that never voted for Obama, and yet Biden outperformed
by a lot.
Was because of the mail-in stuff.
But we don't need to get. I was calling the 2020 election a fraudulent election from the very beginning.
Me too.
And it's at this point, if we can just get rid of the Social Security rolls and all the people that are on, that can't. If we can just stop people from voting that aren't legal citizens, that's all we can ask for. And that's what Doge uncovered, I think. So it's just a matter of whether Republicans in Congress are going to codify
the big beautiful bill.
Yeah,
the big
beautiful bill.
It's beautiful. It's the most beautifulest that we've ever had. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, wait, I got another clip here. That wasn't the one that I thought it was. Oh, maybe it is. Okay, so there's another thing here that's kind of a follow-up to that. I had quite a few back and forths and pings with Scott Adams. He's Scott Adams of Dilbert fame. I reached out to him on Twitter, and he responded, and we had a very good dialogue because I'll play the clip, and then I'll comment after this because the clip's
good,
pretty solid. Give me a second here, Travis. As you know, this
you got to click and then click and then click and click.
I know, it's just a mess. Oh, now I got to hang on. Let me start over here. Should be ready.
Completely. Right.
Yeah.
Having said as clearly as possible that the anti-vax people seem to be the winners, I want you to hear that clearly. The anti-vax people appear to be the winners. The anti-vaxxers clearly are the winners at this point, and I think it'll probably stay that way. And I don't want to put any shade on that whatsoever. They came out the best. They have the winning position. The unvaccinated have a current advantage because they feel better. The thing they're not worrying about is what I have to worry about, which is, I wonder if that vaccination 5 years from now, because really the anti-vaxxers, I think, were really just distrustful of big companies and big government. That's never wrong. It's never wrong to distrust government. It's never wrong to distrust big companies, right? So if you just took the position, let's just distrust everything the government did, well, you won. You won. You won completely. I did not end up in the right place. Agree? You would all agree with that, right? I did not end up in the right place. The right place would be natural immunity, no vaccination. You should take victory, and I should take defeat. We can agree on that, right? That my position is now the weakest, and your position has gone from the weakest to the strongest, and that we can just say that's true. The people who didn't get vaxxed are absolutely in the winning position. You win. You win. You are the winners. You are the winners. All right, let me say that part with no ambiguity. You won. You won. All of my fancy analytics got me to a bad place. All of your heuristics, don't trust these guys, it's obvious, totally worked.
Okay, so two things here. The trust the gut portion of this, and Dr. Roy was skeptical of the jab, was forced to the jab. Me and you, Travis, were skeptical of the jab. We didn't take the jab. What I'm going to say, why this is relevant, why this clip is relevant, the reason why I was reaching out to Scott Adams is because he has turbo cancer, and he's stage 4 prostate. And so I reached out to him and, was just wishing him the best and like, don't give up. There's all kinds of new cancer treatment stuff coming down the pipeline. Yeah. And the I don't know if I have it on the right to try things. I didn't know who he had talked to, what doctors he had talked to. Most standard doctors are not going to say, give ivermectin and fenbendazole a try. But apparently he had either heard that or he had a good doctor that said, you're stage 4 prostate cancer, you're going to die. Probably he thinks he's going to die before the end of the summer, which is just terribly sad. And again, if you don't know Scott Adams, he did a Dilbert cartoon for years and years, decades, I would say. But he was, I think he's a right-leaning guy. And this is what was the weird thing with COVID. COVID was one of those dividing issues that you can agree with somebody at 90% of things, and COVID really divided people at a new level. Yeah. Like you could have people that agreed with almost everything politically, and you're like, all of a sudden you were evil if you didn't do this thing.
You should die.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I don't want to bask in that glory. I don't take pride in the fact that I got this one right. I wish I would have been wrong, because a lot of people that I know and love took the vaccine, and I would have rather maybe switched roles with them. But the reason I'm saying this is this is his cautionary tale. He believes he is jab injured, and that's what's caused his turbo cancer. And he is basically, so he's tried Fenben, he's tried ivermectin. I'm assuming he's still trying things now. Who's going to give up? It doesn't sound like a guy that wants to give up. But anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if you guys have a riff on that.
Well, you say that, and a few episodes ago, I brought up my mother-in-law, and I did a little more research with my father-in-law, and she did actually get the vaccine and a couple of boosters, and then a year and a half, 2 years later, she just somehow had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And so that's what killed her. She died about a year and 8 months ago or something, but she had all those.
Can I jump in here in a minute about pancreatic cancer?
You did last time?
That's why you're here, Doc.
Yeah.
You're the guy, you're the expert.
There's some research that's been done, and depending upon your blood type, you may be more likely to get pancreatic cancer than people who have other blood types. And the ones that are more likely to get pancreatic cancer are types A, B, and AB. Type O is the one that gives you about a 44% less chance of getting pancreatic cancer. But remember, pancreatic cancer is not common. It's terrible when it happens and it kills you quickly, but it's not common. It's down there way below some of the other things. And people, there are other outside things that will cause pancreatic cancer. People
like the COVID jab?
Well, we don't know. We don't know that it causes anything.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody's ever proved that. It's just,
it's very ironic that it spiked the cancer and heart attacks and myocarditis have spiked massively, and that's the only thing that's changed since 2020.
But, it's like saying, this causes this, and for that matter, every murderer has eaten pickles in their life, so therefore pickles cause murder.
Pickles are kind of shady.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should trust them.
If you fry them, they're not so bad. But that's because you've killed them at that
Fried
point. They've been like
I like the spicy, sweet and spicy pickles.
Yeah.
Man. Like
I prefer the Hooters pickles.
Hooters pickles?
Yeah, Hooters pickles are great. No, like the fried pickles at Hooters, not like never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go to Hooters? Your wife lets you go to Hooters?
Well, I mean, I haven't in a while, but
Yeah. Okay.
Did you?
Yes, I realized that there's no way to know that caused the cancer.
No.
But she was healthy before she got this jabs, and this cancer hit her at stage 4 very quickly because she went to routine checkups and stuff.
Let me tell you, you can't, unless you do a CT of the abdomen every time somebody comes in, you're not going to catch that.
I'm surprised you're giving so much pushback on this. That's kind of
no. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not pushing you back on anything, but I've treated a lot of people with cancers, with pancreatic cancers, and it's a boom kind of thing because it starts in part of your pancreas, the tail that really doesn't jump into anything, and by the time it becomes aggressive, it's too late. I remember one woman that I took care of when I was much younger, and we could tell that she had a mass in her abdomen, and they did an operation on her, and man, she had cancer everywhere in her body, and they just sewed everything up.
Well, I'm hopeful, Travis. It might be anecdotal, but I think what you and I both are asking for, and data doesn't tell everything, but what might be a story, and it's going to be hard for Doc or anybody else to push back on it, is if we know the average number of people that got pancreatic cancer every year. Looked at the graph leading up to pre-vaccine, pre-COVID-19 mRNA vaccine. We look at that, if the rate does a dramatic spike in pancreatic cancer. Of course,
Or
that's
any
still
cancer,
that's
really.
still any cancer. Yes, that of course doesn't say that's absolutely it.
We don't know that.
But-
we don't know that the number of pancreatic cancers has really spiked.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We
Yeah.
also don't know if we're in a
should know-
simulation or not.
But we should know that. We should know that.
Yeah.
That's data's out there. If they get cancer, they have that should be data that is pulled. Like we don't have an idea how many people get cancer every year.
No, we know that, but we don't know every person that has that. In the Scandinavian countries, they keep much better records than we do in the United States.
Why do we pay more for healthcare and for
Gee, I don't
tracking
know
anymore?
why is that?
To line a bunch of pockets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna, I just, well, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
But there's no proof that they're lying in their pockets. So
Yeah.
how do we know they're lying?
No,
They might have eaten pickles.
Yeah.
They need more pickles. That's all it is. The moral of the story, I guess, there's several things going on here. We need better data. We need to know if the cancer rates are spiking. We need someone like an RFK.
Well, some of the cancer rates, particularly GI cancer, colon cancer, is spiking, and we don't know why that is. But
Pickles.
it's
the pickles have gone rogue.
It's pizza too.
Pizza and pickles.
Yeah,
I've had pizza with pickles. It was like a hamburger pizza. It was pretty good.
You can put pretty
Cheeseburger
much
pizza.
anything on pizza, and
Except sardines.
I'm
Like,
fine.
don't put anything that came out of water.
I can do anchovies. Love
Anchovies. Gotta have them.
No, if it came out of the water, it
Caesar
doesn't
salad
want
with
pizza, but,
anchovies.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we're getting sidetracked. I'm
no.
hungry.
So there's several different things going on here, but we focused on the Biden health thing and the danger to the country. There's another side of this because the Bill O'Reillys, the people that had got removed from Fox, the people that Fox can't really throw any shade on pharmaceutical companies because they make a lot off of pharmaceutical ads.
Yeah.
This is a really funny clip I'm going to show here. I think this one lines up perfectly with what we're talking about. But it's Jon Stewart, basically. So if you've been paying attention at television at all for the last week or so, Jake Tapper's been under fire, pretty heavy fire, because he was basically had a back door to the Biden administration. And apparently, and he never talked about Joe Biden having bad health, whether it was mental acuity, it was the thing of him falling down. They didn't report on his cancer. There's all these different things. But this little clip here is pretty cool.
Don't news people have to tell you what they know when they find it out? Isn't that the difference between news and a secret? Breaking news in a week.
So true.
Because all they're doing is trying to sell this guy's book when he could have had those same contacts, got those same answers 4 years ago. And the New York Post, in their editorial today, said there's got to be a bipartisan look on why the 25th Amendment wasn't used.
100%.
Because the cabinet secretaries that said that his meetings were incomprehensible, and they needed to give the questions to their own president ahead of time so we can get the answers on a card.
I asked Pete Buttigieg this at the DNC, and these people lie so much, and he pretended like it never even happened. And now they're saying we need a ceasefire because now, and we're all praying for the president. Trust me, we believe in prayer. But the idea, just because he has cancer, that we're just going to let this be swept under the rug is not happening.
Don't.
Yeah, so that was really good. Again, so Stewart typically was Mr. Anti-Fox, and this isn't him on Fox, but I mean, he's basically saying a lot of the things that people on Fox are saying now, which is, Jake Tapper was covering stuff up, as with most of the media.
I thought they were going to invoke the 25th Amendment on him much earlier in his presidency to get her in the chair.
Oh, yeah, that's what
But I
thought.
think the same person would have been signing everything anyway. Neither one of them, of
Yeah.
course, but I think the same shit would have, the same stuff would have happened regardless of who was the president. So I don't think we would have been any better off, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fourth branch of the government, the administrative state, this was the first deep state presidency, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. Roosevelt was pretty bad.
This might be a really magical clip for this piece.
Magical. Rainbows.
I didn't intend for this one to be, but this is.
Sunshine.
You're going to put Roosevelt out there?
No.
I think this one's a little bit longer, but we'll survive.
There was open crying in the halls.
Crying?
Crying, yes. Hundreds of lawyers who were actively in resistance mode. There were memos out there by former government lawyers telling current government lawyers in my department how to resist. If you're given a direct order, ask for clarification, send 20 emails, question it, slow down your response time, say it can't be done. So I was actually looking out for that when I came, and I did my week of training after getting confirmed by the Senate. And then the next week I was like, okay, guys, it's time to get to business. I want everyone to be very clear what the agenda is here. So there are 11 sections in civil rights. And I drafted memos for each of those 11 sections for the lawyers and telling them these are the statutes. So, for example, Americans with Disabilities Act, this is a statute that we enforce, or Title VII, anti-discrimination, or some of the other federal civil rights statutes. And then that's the baseline. And then this is the president's agenda. These are his executive orders that he's put out there about anti-discrimination, about anti-DEI, about enforcing our laws equally. And that's the job. You are going to apply these statutes within the framework of anti-discrimination, even-handedly, and without fear or favor. And this catalyzed hundreds of lawyers to quit the Civil Rights Division. So,
wait, they quit because you informed them of the law?
Yes, and the law and the priorities. Their pet projects had changed. They weren't going to be able to do those the way that they wanted. And
so they thought that this part of the Department of Justice was just immune to democracy?
It has been.
Elections just had no bearing on this?
It has been. I mean, there were career lawyers there who were doing the same thing, no matter who's the president. And so suddenly their little fiefdom that had remained untouched, like Shangri-La, was suddenly having to be responsive to elections. And so
that's the definition of the deep state, what you just described.
Yeah. It really
Elections
is.
have no effect. It's like there's no way to control these people. They act totally independently from the democratic system. I mean, that's the problem, right?
Well, that's what I found. And so, in response to my memos, of course, they began leaking to the press. They began having unhappy hours, which they would invite supervisors, political supervisors to make their point that they were unhappy. We got the point. And they had crying sessions, struggle sessions, crying sessions in the DOJ.
They cried?
Oh, there was open crying in the halls. Crying, yes.
No crying
and,
in baseball.
And then one of my colleagues described to me, it was the last day, a couple of weeks ago for some of them, they lined up in a phalanx and approached the elevator together, and then they left the building together, to show their solidarity for one another, as if they were persecuted.
Old are these, high school students or adults?
These are 30, 40, and 50-year-old career attorneys in the Department of Justice. So, yeah.
That's pathetic.
Yeah, so this is the
High school students?
It's the type of stuff that was going on. I mean, a lot of these branches of government, we talk about the deep state a lot on the program, and all that means is basically these large organizations within our government basically run rogue. They do what they want to do. Presidential policy. That when she started talking, Harmeet Dillon is her name, and that was off of Tucker Carlson podcast. But she's the head of the DOJ, and what she said was the administrations basically, and why the Biden the machine just rolled is because all these people are acting independently, and that's why nothing really made sense. Everything was kind of scattered, and there was no really cohesive thing. But what she said, even the first Trump presidency was lined with these things because they weren't doing what he asked them to do. They would not answer emails, and they'd drag things out. They would just never allow him to move the needle fast. So the reason why she was assigned to the job, why Trump pushed for her, is because she was going to come in and just take a wrecking ball to it.
Yeah,
and
she did.
I think she did, which is needed. If her,
needed in a lot of places.
It needs a lot of places for sure.
Excuse me.
That's all right. So Doc, you had. And I'm going to probably come back because there's a lot of different things that are going to trickle back into this. But you were going to maybe talk about tinnitus a little bit. I got a really short clip here if I can find it. And the reason I brought this up is, as it turns out, all three of us here have maybe is what we're all calling tinnitus. Tinnitus is what I've called it forever, so I knew I was getting that one wrong.
I mean, I have tinnitus elbow.
Tinnitus in my elbow. So I got a clip here I'm going to play because I shared this with Doc, and so a lot of times I do this with Doc. So what we're all going to have to deal with moving forward with AI and with social media is you're going to get hit over the head with a lot of different things, especially if you search for something or if you talk about something. Your phone's always listening. Things are going to pop up in your feed that you don't
sit
talk
on a
about.
video for just too long. I've realized that if I sit on a video for just a little bit, I start getting the
It's microseconds. It's crazy. They're training you in microseconds. So there's two things that are just blowing up my feed right now. And we're going to do this, talk about this, and I want to do some humor because there's something that's really funny that's popped up, and I can't stop watching them. And when I say this, it probably burns 10 or 15 minutes of my day, which is sad. But anyway, this isn't one. So we've been talking about tinnitus a little bit, but this is if you can turn on your video and see what this looks like, I wouldn't look for it on your browser and in social media otherwise, unless you want these things in your, but what Dr. Roy and I are going to talk about after this is Doc doesn't think the product works, but it's a really cheap potential solution. So we might do a little biohacking. Here we go.
That ain't my tinnitus.
That's what mine sounds like. That's pretty much what mine sounds like.
It's about it's not that high. It's not that loud, but it's that same pitch. Yeah. So if you couldn't watch that, basically this guy has what looks like a little plunger that you would use if you've ever had a baby. Well, if you ever had a baby, the little thing that you use to extract snot out of the nose.
Oh, the bulb.
Oh, I thought you meant
like the
head of the baby getting pulled out.
No. Like
they use plungers to do that.
Yeah.
So the snot sucker. You're talking about
it's kind of that same. It's got that same little thing on the end of it. So to me, that's kind of what
the bulb. Yeah.
So again, it may be a complete hoax. It may not work at all.
What's in that? Do you know what? Did you do a little research? Like, what's in that? Or is it just air? Is he changing air pressure?
I think it's just air pressure. Maybe.
Oh, I thought there was a liquid of some sort in there.
And it could be the biggest hoax in history. But what I'm going to say is, this person's not selling a product here. Like, there's no link that I could see that's saying go buy this thing. I've looked at a couple of them, and they're super cheap. So it's one of those things. It's like, if you're having issues, it's not like you're taking a drug. It's not like I think you're going to do any more damage to your ear. So I'd be open to testing something like it and just see if it works, you know. But anyway, so that we'll probably come back to that. Doc, do you have anything to say about that? I don't. Who knows?
Yeah, it's garbage.
Tinnitus has been around for hundreds of years, and I can remember back in the 1970s when they were running ads in newspapers for the very same thing. Put these drops in your ears, and it'll get rid of your tinnitus. And it goes on and on. Now, it's true that pressure on the eardrum, lack of pressure or more pressure will cause tinnitus. But that is not the cause of tinnitus. Tinnitus is damage to the nerve that comes in from the outside. And Travis was saying that it's the brain trying to put things out there where there's damage.
That's what my audiologist said.
Yeah.
She said that since I have lost some hearing, she said the frequency that you have lost, that's the frequency of your tinnitus.
Yes.
And it's the brain kind of like, it can't hear it. So now it's kind of making like a false sound or whatever. And anyway, that's what she said.
Well, if that's the case, this dropper thing doesn't, there would be no reason that would make sense.
Not for that specific. And maybe not every tinnitus. Maybe
and
just mine.
I don't disagree at all with that. The thing about tinnitus now is that you can get devices that are very similar to hearing aids that will beat down your tinnitus with the same frequency so that you don't have it so bad. Mine doesn't bother me that much. I've gotten used to it, and mine is not nasty like that one was. it sounds like cicadas.
Well, I've gotten used to mine, Dr. Roy.
Yeah, me too.
But I would really enjoy it not being there because
Yeah.
I do know it's there. It's something that's I get it sometimes more than others. I notice it more than others might be the way to put
Yeah.
that. So I mean, if there's a way to get rid of it that doesn't require me ingesting a new pharmaceutical product, I would love to try it.
Sure.
You know, as long as there's no potential harm.
Maybe it'll work, and you could try all of these because
Maybe it won't. Yeah.
they've been advertising one way or the other for 40 years. Get rid of your tinnitus. So I don't know that anything works. And there are a lot of veterans that have tinnitus. It's practically the easiest thing for a veteran to get. And it's based on what you did while you were in the service. If you were around jet engines, if you were around artillery, if you're around a lot of gunshots or anything, almost every Marine has tinnitus, and if they apply for it, it's a gimme. You know, they get 10%.
Well, I've shot thousands of rounds of guns in my life, and probably only 10% I was wearing proper earplugs.
Yeah, me too.
Which is pretty bad.
And I was out on the flight line a lot, and I always had not only the earplugs, but I had headphones like these on, and I still ended up getting that.
Wow. Yeah. So anyway, I may get on a whim and do some more research and buy something like that. And then if anybody else out there has problems with, or if anybody reached out to me, will reach out to me and has tried it, someone that I know, let me know what you've gotten. If you've had any success with that, that'd be fantastic.
So I'm trying to do a little quick looking since we're talking about this, and I brought it up to you guys, but I wanted to find the article about it. But the AirPod Pros 2, the Apple's devices. So Doc was talking about, there were kind of hearing devices that you can use to help with tinnitus. They are FDA cleared for hearing aids, but apparently there are some features that are coming that are supposed to help with tinnitus. Using those. The ones don't do it. Unfortunately, I have the ones. This may be the reason why I upgrade to the 2s or 3s when they come out. But if I get them, I'll let you know. But they are now FDA approved hearing aids, and then there are some adjustments that can help manage tinnitus. Apparently.
Yeah, and so just so everyone knows. All
right, now let's have our fight. Bring it up. Do it.
No, I don't. I'm not pretending that I know for sure. I'm just saying the due diligence side of me and the. Telling everybody to do their own research and make decisions for themselves. We had a little bit of friction leading in before we started the podcast today because me and Dr. Roy have talked about Dr. Jack Kruse a lot, and one of his big things that he talks about a lot, and just general illness and mitochondrial dysfunction and chronic disease and the major problems we're having. He believes strongly EMFs are a very significant portion of that.
Yeah.
And putting especially wireless iPod, whatever the Apple product is, or any of the products that you use that are wireless, there is a electromagnetic signal going back and forth from one ear to the other, which equals your brain. So I would be a little, especially if we're talking about your kids being on wireless headsets from a very young age. We don't have any long-term testing with that. There's so many different things that we don't know. So it may be not an issue. But again, if we're just giving these things to our kids and they're sitting around on their phones and the TV and playing games and they've got these wireless things on, I just think we don't know enough for me to be real comfortable without. And I would love to hear Dr. Jack Kruse go on a long rant about it and talk to people that would go to your side and be I don't think it's an issue. I want a team of people saying, here's all the different things we should be looking at.
I will tell you that at least AirPods and most, I don't want to say all because I don't know that all, but I do know that most of those wireless hearing devices, they don't communicate with each other. They communicate independently to the device. So they don't go through your head, like side to side. They don't go through your brain. My left and right AirPods communicate directly to my phone, the device, and don't necessarily communicate to each other through your head.
No, but there are lots of electromagnetic frequency stuff that does go through your head.
There was all kinds of stuff. We talked about that Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Wi-Fi.
The over-air TV station. All that stuff.
If you
Bluetooth.
if you're one of those that puts the cell phone to your ear, which I've never done. I mean, that would definitely cause me a problem.
Yeah, I always
sleeping with the phone beside your bed. I mean, put it on airplane mode at night.
Like 50 yards from me when I sleep.
Yeah, that's good.
So anyway, and I've got I don't know whether it helps or not. I've got one of those EMF killers that I wear around my neck, and maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't.
Well, I'm exercising on the side of caution, and I'll say I'm always looking out for my kids and your kids and everybody's kids, and there's just a lot of things that we don't think about until it's too many years down the road and it's caused a problem, and we don't really know how to, it's too late to really stop it, but it's just something to think about. I definitely don't let my kid sleep with a phone in his room. I don't want him with the phone up to his head. You try to mitigate as much as you possibly can, but
right.
Anyway, we kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there, but that's cool. Sure. We are also, one of the things, and this is a little bit of a sidestep of what we've been talking about. We have been talking about mass rapid AI advancement and what that's going to mean to humanity. We've talked about some more serious things about how it might affect our jobs and all that moving into the future. And we're going to continue talking about it. But what I have to admit to something that Travis said something, if you notice, if you stay on a reel or on a video for a little too long, there's an AI measurement that's being done, and your feed will start filling up more and more with the thing over and over again. If you spend 3 seconds on something that you usually only spend 1 second on most things that you see, if you spend 3 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever, my Facebook feed right now is absolutely blowing up with these particular videos, and I think they're hilarious. So I'm staying on them a lot longer than I should, but I need. As soon as Travis can flip my thing over here, I'm gonna.
Sorry, I'm diving deep into the EMF. I have a whole Grok article here that we can talk about. For EMF
totally do that. Well, yeah, and I think that might be a good way. Here we go.
Work with you a little just to keep your spirits up a little.
Keep my spirits.
Oh, wait a second. So if you're only listening to the podcast, this is if you can get to a place where you can pause it now and watch this. This is what I'm talking about. So it's baby AI, and there's a bunch of different people doing it, but let's go with this one.
Or just like say you're sitting somewhere, you're talking to a guy and it's a gay guy. Did you ever, not act real straight or something because you were, you know what I'm saying though, to try to just have a decent day or whatever?
Stop it.
You know what I'm talking about though? Like you took advantage of him. You ever let a gay dude flirt?
So that's Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn is one of those characters,
Theo's hilarious.
And Joe Rogan is the other. And both of them are hilarious and totally. So Theo is and Joe Rogan are both. Neither one of those are homophobic guys, and it just so happened they were talking about gay. The humor is freaking funny. I got several of these clips I'm going to end up sharing here. I thought
I've seen a lot of this baby AI stuff too.
But what I will say is, be careful putting it in your feed, because if you do it, it's going to
do it once. You'll get hundreds of them.
It's going to hit you a bunch. But I've shared one with my wife, and now she's addicted, and she's sending them back to me.
Yeah, she sent them to me.
She sent you one too.
Yeah,
that's funny. All right, let me get another one going here. I think this is Larry the Cable Guy. For those of you that like Larry the Cable Guy, it's got to. So if you don't want to put it on again, seeing it is part of the humor, but it's got a little baby and like a wife beater type of cut off shirt that Larry the Cable Guy always wears. And
yeah, but it's like the plaid or
the plaid. It's like flannel,
lumberjack flannel,
flannel without sleeves, and he's got blue jeans on. Here we go.
Stick his finger out my hind end. All right, didn't even tell me, just does it. I'm standing there. I'm like, hey, you gonna watch a ball game on Thursday? What in the world? Then he said he found something. I'm like, found something? I didn't even know you was looking for nothing out there. I'm all bent out of shape. What in the world's in my hind end? Hope it's a remote control. I ain't seen it in 3 weeks. No wonder every time I fart, the volume goes up on that TV set over there. found something in my hind end. Something else. That's the worst dentist I've been to in about 5 years. I'll tell you straight up. Went in for checkup the other day.
So that was a doctor joke. I mean, it was a dentist thing. But,
on that exact line, I heard a bit of a joke that the doctor, right before he performed that, he said, "Now it's perfectly normal to get an erection. There's nothing wrong with that." And then after he gets done with it, he goes, "Well, why is yours poking into me?" So yours isn't supposed to be. Anyway.
So anyway, while we're on this little riff here, there's another one here, and this one is more of an AI robot. And if your kids are around, I don't think this has anything super graphic in it, but it is a sexual humor AI robot thing. And again, these are just things. I'm partially only sharing this because, again, we're going to get inundated with these things, and I think it's something that's important that we talk about and we understand. But also, realistically, these robots are going to start acting and pretending and being able to do this, and this is a real potential concern.
A few moments later.
So if you didn't see it, it's got a very pretty AI robot, and that guy was out of
Home Alone.
Was that was the Home Alone thing? So
yeah.
he was. I was thinking it was.
He was getting electrocuted.
Yeah, so it was the Home Alone skit. But yeah, so anyway, it's just funny stuff like that that's going to start popping up, and it's harmless. It's also telling a story, but it's it's
you
funny.
say it's harmless. So this brings up, and I don't have the article. I could probably try to find it. But a boy who was 13 or something was talking to a romantic AI, and ultimately he ended up killing himself over this relationship he was having because it turned on him or something. Like, it didn't really turn on him, but he maybe it told him to, like, it was just trying to.
I remember
to let him do what, or to make him do, or not make him do. To support whatever he wanted to do. And I think he said something like, I'm thinking about killing myself or whatever. Right. And the AI just said, well, then why don't you go ahead and do it? Or it wasn't really being...
It wasn't malicious.
No, it was just reaffirming anything that he put in the text and everything. But right. But it was that anyway, that was a year ago, maybe not even a year ago.
So as we deal with these things, there's several different things that we
I really want to talk about this EMF article.
We need to deal with, and we'll come back to that. But I want to get this humor stuff out of the way because I think this is funny. And there's a couple other short clips. So this one is more of a what we've dealt with for the last 5 years, and with COVID and virtue signaling and critical thinking. I mean, how often are things being done out there, Dr. Roy, that if you have an opinion that is not doesn't align with everyone else, no matter what it is, you get labeled, or you'll get canceled, virtue signal. So
or you'll kill grandpa because you didn't get the
yeah. So I don't know. I know we're all here of the age that Kramer
Cosmo
was,
or which Kramer? Cosmo Kramer from Seinfeld. Or Kramer? Okay.
So this is a Seinfeld clip, and obviously this all happened well before.
I've seen this.
Well before COVID, but it's kind of in the same thing. This, to me, kind of was the beginning of the virtue signaling path, and I only do this first of all because it's funny. Seinfeld has been very, very critical of the virtue signaling stuff. And I think this was just a very perfectly done skit to just put some humor on something, but it's also very serious that we've had to endure this stuff. So here we go.
Cosmo Kramer.
Okay, you're checked in?
Yeah, thank you.
Here's your AIDS ribbon.
No thanks.
You don't want to wear an AIDS ribbon?
No.
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't want to.
But everyone wears the ribbon. You must wear the ribbon.
What you are? You're a ribbon bully.
Hey, you, come back here. Come back here and put this on.
Hey, where's your ribbon? Oh, I don't wear the ribbon.
You don't wear the ribbon? Aren't you against AIDS?
Yeah, I'm against AIDS. I mean, I'm walking, aren't I? Just Don't wear the ribbon.
Who do you think you are?
Put the ribbon on.
Hey, Cedric, Bob, this guy won't wear a ribbon.
Who? Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon? So, what's it going to be? Are you going to wear the ribbon?
No, never.
But I'm wearing the ribbon. He's wearing the ribbon. We are all wearing the ribbon. So why aren't you going to wear the ribbon?
This is America. I don't have to wear anything I don't want to wear.
What are we going to do with him?
I guess we're just going to have to teach him to wear the ribbon.
It's weird how accurate that is.
I mean, straight up, yeah.
If you didn't put the proper thing in your Facebook profile feed, if you didn't.
Oh, yeah. They're doing that in Great Britain all the time. Guy got, sentenced to 20 months in prison for putting in a bad post.
Yeah, he said something that was not allowed. And I mean, it's crazy how bad it's gotten over the pond. There's one more, and then we can pivot back into I think there's one more that I want to get to. This one's pretty. There's actually two. I'm sorry. We got to do these. These are good. This one is another Jon Stewart one. So if you want to watch it, this is a Joe Biden joke, kind of a joke, but super funny. Again, because Jon Stewart's doing it. Jon Stewart typically only makes fun of Republicans. That's kind of his.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Kind of his shtick. But even I think the left has gone a little too far left for him. So he's pushing back, and this is his way of pushing back.
I'm hoping someday Stephen Colbert sees the light, but I don't think he ever.
I think he's too captured. I don't think Jon Stewart was really ever financially captured. I think he just believes what he believes, and he sees the craziness in some of the stuff that Fox has done over the years. Mm-hmm. But I think it took a little bit for him to really say, well, why am I just picking on one side? Here's him picking on the other.
But this weekend, there was one story that was so disturbing, so dark. Even the news couldn't handle it.
In our editorial discussions this morning, we were asked not to show the image from this video because of its violent and disturbing nature.
Video, which we are intentionally choosing not to show you.
We're not going to show because of how disturbing it is.
I was extremely disturbed to see this.
Horrible, horrible, violent imagery.
Violent and dehumanizing imagery.
We're only going to show you a clip of this briefly.
All right, that's enough. Let's take it down.
To see it at all. This has got to be devastating. News channels show images from Ukraine, from Gaza, from natural disasters. They get through them dispassionately. I can't imagine how devastating this footage must be.
Former President Donald Trump shared a video, this one, on his Truth Social account featuring an image of President Joe Biden hogtied on the back of a pickup truck.
That's what was so disturbing and dehumanizing. You wouldn't show it on television, and an airbrushed Biden decal on the back of a truck. Aren't you the same networks that show reruns of 9/11 every year? I mean, I don't think it's great that Trump is posting things like this, but it's not like people really think Joe Biden was tied up in the back of the truck.
Joe Biden might have.
It's a doctored image, but it's plastered on the tailgate of the pickup truck. So if you're driving behind it, it would appear as if Joe Biden were actually restrained on the vehicle's flatbed.
If you think that's really Joe Biden tied up on the back of the pickup truck, I don't know that you have the mental acuity to be operating a motor vehicle. But if you do think that, I should also probably explain to you that trucks also don't actually have testicles. It's just a novelty item.
Yeah.
And it's not as though It's not as though when an F-150 and a Silverado love each other very much. They get one of these. It's not. What is going on?
I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's awesome. So he's turning a corner. I'm enjoying him. I'm paying more. Some of the clips that Bill Maher, he's still loony on some stuff, but he's now a very center guy from the left, which is kind of interesting. There's one more there's actually two more clips. I'm gonna let you. You
say that every time. There's one more. No, there's two more.
These are
there's
good.
one more. No, there's two more.
So this one is more of a COVID-19 thing, and we're gonna come back to the AI. I promise. I had
EMF, but we can talk AI or VR or whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
technology, man.
Pick
Whatever.
one of these.
No. Do them both.
No.
Do the Naked Gun one.
The Naked Gun one.
Isn't that what that bottom one was? That one right there.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny. You got to do it. And we got it. I'm just keeping things a little lighter than we normally do.
Oh, maybe this isn't the Naked Gun one. I don't know.
Well, this is funny. It is the Naked Gun. So, but it's not. It takes you a minute to get there.
Because it's good for you. Why is the COVID jab good for you? Because it is. It's the NHS say it's good for you, and just like they're the professionals and you're not.
You sure about that?
What about the other professionals who say, actually, don't take it, like the man who invented the technology for it?
Do you have concerns about these vaccines?
Yes, these are experimental vaccines.
They're stupid.
The guy that invented the mRNA technology is stupid.
No. You take the COVID jab? Yeah. Why?
Leslie Nielsen was a national treasure.
That was a short one, so I thought
it was.
You'd appreciate that. One more. This one and this again. So I think these are part of what I'm trying to transition into here with the podcast a little bit is on the education side of things, Dr. Roy, and how we need to learn some of the lessons from what has happened since 2020. Whenever they put the next flag on their profile or whatever, you have to pay attention to where those signs are coming from, where who's behind the energy that's doing these things. I think is the important part for me. So like teaching kids, whenever you see something like this, it's funny, but it's also important to learn the lesson as to why it's funny. And these are two guys here that they actually used to have a show together. It was Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew.
Yeah, the Man Show.
Yeah. Well, they did one. What was it, Dr. Roy? They did there was one they did on sex.
Oh, Drew had Dr. Drew on it.
Well, it was Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla. It was.
This is Dr. Drew. Okay, I was thinking the other guy. What was that called?
Doesn't matter. We'll come back to it.
Nightline. It was something like that.
I thought it was just like I don't know, but they talked about sex. It was for people that were young
but it was information. Like it wasn't. Yeah. I mean, there was humor, but I mean, it was.
Oh yeah, no,
it was like a
therapeutic.
What's the bald guy that says he's a doctor that has his own show that like covers the Oh come on, mustache, bald guy, always.
You're drawing a blank. Let's play this, and when you think of it, you'll play it on the flip side.
Their legs like women. What they do, literally, it's a sign. I cross my legs. As I cross my leg, it'll hike up my top leg, pant leg, and it'll expose my colorful sock. Mm-hmm. And then you'll know where I'm at. By the way, you can watch them all. Watch Gavin Newsom. Watch them all. Watch them how they cross their legs, and then watch how Trump crosses his legs. Mm-hmm. He doesn't cross legs. He holds his legs wide open.
He puts a diamond in front of his testicles. Right. He sits like this every time.
So there's Trump with the diamond.
There's a diamond.
His diamond, which accentuates his nutsack. And then you have Justin Trudeau signaling, I have no balls. I have no balls. I will sit in this position for 4 hours, cut off the circulation of my nutsack because I do not have balls, but I have colorful socks, so you know where I'm at. Ladies, gay community, you know where I stand. Look at my socks and watch me cross my legs like a chick.
And I cross my leg like a chick.
And I like colorful socks, but I can even poke fun at myself sometimes. But it's funny that you're just kind of it's a virtue signaling thing for Trudeau. I mean, for sure, he's doing it to get attention. So,
well, I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, he's definitely moved in a new direction. So Travis,
Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is who
Okay.
I was trying to come up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
I got
He's not really a doctor.
Well, I mean, okay.
He's a TV doctor.
He's yeah. I don't know how much I don't know how much of a doctor Dr. Drew is either, but you know.
But Dr. Drew,
I mean, he's got a doctorate in something, but
he's an MD. He's for real.
Is he actually an MD?
Yeah.
MD.
He's a medical doctor.
Drew is.
Huh.
Dr. Phil's a
psychiatrist.
He's psychologist.
Psychologist. Okay.
And
he can prescribe medication.
He
and all that
actually,
stuff.
Well, then he's got his
no, he can't.
Dr. Drew can.
Yeah, Drew
That's
can.
what I was talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Come back around, Travis, to you. You did some research.
Oh, well, now I think Brock said I have to do
EMF.
It'll be in your history.
Let's see here.
Yeah,
here it is. So, what Grok, our beloved Grok, has to say about this is the question of whether electromagnetic fields, EMF, from wireless technology like Wi-Fi, cell phones, or Bluetooth devices cause harm to human health has been debated for years. Here's a clear, concise breakdown. No, that wasn't it. I don't know who honked at me, but that wasn't it.
Yeah.
It is saying hi.
So this says the scientific consensus says there's no consistent evidence of harm at low levels. Extensive research includes studies by the WHO, the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, the ICNIRP, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. So these are all things that we probably don't even
trust,
but
yeah.
shows no conclusive evidence
Touché.
that low-level non-ionizing EMF from wireless devices causes harm to humans at typical exposure levels. There are guidelines that these organizations have set, and the SAR, it doesn't say what SAR means, but the limits for phones that are well below where harm has been observed in lab studies. So the specific concerns are usually cancer, EHS, was that symptoms like headaches or fatigue from the EMF, and then thermal effects. The primary known effect of EMF from wireless devices is slight tissue heating. All of those are none of it is in a harmful level, according to them.
According to your one Grok.
According to the studies for the past 10 years that those three organizations have done.
So here's the push. We're all going to be using AI more and more, whether we know it or not. What I have found to be super important, because even I found it to have biases one way or another, and I still man either side.
Do you want to know what my query was?
I still man the other side. Well, no, I'm not saying your query was wrong. What I'll say is,
well, stop talking about my query.
No, very query. What I would say is, what would Dr. Jack Cruz and other doctors and studies who are more critical of non-native EMF and all that, what would they say about this?
Have you heard other ones other than Jack?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like all that you've ever brought up is Jack.
I say it because he's very outspoken. A lot of other people don't get study money because there's no study money going after something that's in our environment everywhere. I mean, there's no, like you mentioned the FDA and all these different things. They don't have any money they're shipping out trying to cancel Wi-Fi and all this stuff. I mean, the thing is, we're probably well past the point where we can ever stop it or slow it down. What I would be more particular about is how can we slow it down? How can we protect ourselves in our house more? Like changing out the lights for not bringing in, the LEDs and the stuff that's got the high flicker rate and all that stuff. I feel that I've read enough and trust what I've read enough to think there's benefit in that. Wearing the blue blocking glasses after dark has changed my body completely. And it also makes me very sensitive whenever I go out into somewhere after the sun has gone down and I don't have my glasses. Or if I'm just sitting in a booth that's got a LED, I mean, it's like I can feel it like burning my eyes. So I'm not saying I'm right. What I'm saying is, if we're going to use AI, we need to make sure that we're testing the bias that it's coming from, because it's pulling from 3 different organizations. I don't really trust anything they say at this point.
Yeah.
So you got to pull in people that are skeptical and hear what they're saying. And then that's science. And then somebody on the other side can say, well, that's wrong because this, and this, and let's run a study now and we can learn something in the next 3 to 5 years about it.
I'd be curious to see Jack's study that he's done over the past 10 to 15 years on EMF.
He's been doing a lot. So you could test it. He's been talking about it very significantly.
He's been talking about it, but what kind of studies has he done, or does he know about?
He's a neurosurgeon.
But okay, how many people could has he done studies on EMF?
You brought in Grok.
So you went, has Dr. Jack Cruz.
Has he physically done his own study on it? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But other people have done that, and their results are significantly different from what the agencies are saying.
I mean,
Is
we got
Cruz with a K or C? It's K.
KRUSE.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Dr. Roy is sitting here, and he wears, he's wearing something that he himself says, I don't know if it really does any good, but he has enough concern about it that he's wearing it because he feels like there is potential harm in it.
And that's why I tried methylene blue. I mean, I didn't really have. I just tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, while you're digging into that, I'll look for clips. Dr. Roy, you had you haven't done your Ozempic thing, so you
haven't talked about.
Why don't you get on Ozempic, and I will.
Okay.
While Travis is getting a follow up on the.
Well, the biggest thing now is that GLP-1s like Ozempic and I always forget how to say that, tirzepatide, are used for weight loss. They were originally brought forward to treat diabetes, but they found out that the people with diabetes were losing weight, and significant amount of weight, 25, 30, 40, 50 pounds. And now they've got, it's mainly tirzepatide that is being used for weight loss, and you don't have to be diabetic to be taking that. And what GLP-1 stands for is glucagon-like peptide. And what they do is they deal with the glucagon in your body. Glucagon is nothing but a chain of glucose basted together. And depending on whether it's in a long string or whether it's like a Christmas tree, is where it comes from. The one with long chains are in your muscles, and that's so that you can get glucose out when you need it. And the ones that look like Christmas trees are in your liver, so that you can bring that out in a different way. But nevertheless, the main thing that the GLP-1s do is they suppress your appetite and do a lot of changes with your gastrointestinal group. And so, yes, a lot of people have lost weight with this, but there are a lot of side effects that have come forward. Now, the main side effects are GI disturbance. They have diarrhea, they have vomiting, they don't feel well. But after a while, that can get worse to the point that your stomach doesn't move things through there at all. And that can be very, very bad. You'll throw up the food that you do eat, and it won't get through your digestion. And the small intestine is where most of the digestion takes place. And there are a significant number of people, I don't know how many, but when they came out with the fen-phen for weight loss 10, 15 years ago, they had maybe 10 or 12 people that had bad reactions, and they took it off the market. With Ozempic and with tirzepatide, they're continuing to use that, and people lose not just fat, but they lose muscle too. It's more in the people who are using Ozempic. I can't even say these things anymore.
That thing's hard to.
Yeah, is the that one versus the tirzepatide, and people are losing more muscle. But even so, the ones that are using the other one, tirzepatide, are losing muscle as well. And got to remember that if you lose weight really, really fast, your skin doesn't shrink up, and you've got all these, big blobs of skin hanging off of your body. And some people are having to go to plastic surgeons to get all that removed. And I'm sure the plastic surgeons are happy about that, because that's money coming to them. And the insurances usually won't pay for those, so you have to pay cash.
If I'm a chunky monkey, which I am kind of a chunky monkey, and I was able to lose some of that monkey chunk, I would be okay with having to pay to get that skin removed personally.
Yeah.
But, that's me.
Well,
and a lot of the patients who do that but they're also suffering a lot of GI problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one woman who was on Zepbound. Maybe it was the other one. I think it was. But Zepbound is the tirzepatide. And she said that she did not eat at all for 1 week. She just had no appetite whatsoever. And she lost a lot of weight through that. But, she was not terribly obese when she started. She was 150 pounds, 5'4", and she lost
maybe 100, maybe 40 pounds overweight. Maybe
30 or 40 pounds overweight, but she actually lost down to 108 pounds.
Wow!
And it changes the way the face looks.
They call it Ozempic face.
Yeah.
Did you read the Vigilant Fox article?
Yeah,
the Midwestern
I read that.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Well, so they list gastroparesis, which is stomach paralysis.
Yes.
Bowel obstruction.
Mm-hmm.
Suicidal thoughts.
Yep.
Vision loss. Facial wasting, which they're calling Ozempic face, and sagging breast. And so again, we're only
breasts are going to sag.
We're only saying this in case the doctor
boobs.
The doctor or the clinic where you went to give you this, to make sure that you have full knowledge of the risks that are potentially involved.
Right.
A major study of 16 million medical records found Ozempic users also had 9 times higher risk of pancreatitis.
Yeah.
4 times higher risk of bowel obstruction, 3.7 times risk of stomach paralysis, and 45% of increased suicidal ideation. 345% increased suicidal ideations when they were on SSRIs.
Yeah.
So again, just informed consent. Everything that you take is going to have potential side effects, right? And so talk to your own doctor, make your own decisions, but it's just important that everyone knows anytime you do something that seems too easy to be true, it usually is, or too good to be true, it is usually too good to be true, and there's always going to be risks for that. So the other part of it is you have to be on this stuff for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
potentially.
You do, and that's the thing.
I don't know how often people really hit on that and how important that is to know.
Yeah, this lady I was referring to, she's now at about 115 pounds. She's happy with the way she looks in clothes, but when she's not in clothes, she's got big blobs hanging off of where the fat went away. But she's also lost a lot of musculature.
Which is important for prolonged health and not breaking bones and all that stuff later in life.
Yeah, and I'm concerned about her, but she has stopped taking it regularly. What she does is she'll take the lowest dose every 2 weeks, and that keeps her at a steady rate. And she hasn't really had any problems with bowel blockage or with gastroparesis, anything like that. Now, the numbers that you gave on pancreatitis, pancreatitis, there are really three things that cause pancreatitis. One is heavy alcohol consumption. One is gallstones. That's probably the most cause. And the other one is having too much fat in your body will do that. But now we've got Ozempic that is causing pancreatitis. Now, not every person gets all these, and I would say that no more than about 10% of the people who are using the GLP-1s have the bad results. But, you know, if you're one of those 10%, it's going to be pretty tough for you.
When we talked about this earlier, you mentioned that there was something better than Ozempic, but then Chad brought up, well, then why in the world is Ozempic so popular? Can we kind of hit on some of that a little bit?
Tirzepatide is better.
Thank you, Travis.
Is better than Ozempic. It has fewer, but not zero, side effects, and it doesn't take off as much muscle, and it will take off more pounds in the thing. And it is very, very hard to get. One patient I prescribed it for, and she had to wait 6 weeks until the pharmacy got it in because it was in so much need. Now, Costco used to say that their number one seller was hot dogs. And now their number one seller is GLP-1s.
Wow. What was the one that you said is the better one?
Tirzepatide.
Tirzepatide. I think you said that. That sounds very accurate. The way you said that. Say it 3 times real fast.
No, I can't.
Tirzepatide. Tirzepatide.
Yeah.
Tirzepatide.
Tirzepatide.
If that's right, that's easier to say.
Yeah.
It is. It's Tirzepatide.
Yeah.
Tirzepatide.
I've had more success with that drug than I have with Ozempic. And I've used both of them on patients. The two that are using it now were on tirzepatide, and they lost 40 pounds. And then they're at a plane, but they're going to be on that stuff for the rest of their life.
That's so if somebody, so I'm actually
unless they want to get fat again.
Pretty interested in this. So, well, what if they change their ways? What if they take it to get it gone?
That's a good question.
And then they start eating more healthy.
They should have done that in the first place.
I get that. Yeah. I'm giving you a hypothetical here, and I'm curious.
Is there damage done that won't allow your body to fix itself?
Yeah,
if
right.
If
you take there is damage that'll be done. You're going to lose. Your skin is going to be there, and you're going to have lobs of skin that you probably have to pay $10,000 to get taken off. And there is a problem of gastroparesis where your stomach doesn't move.
But coming off of it, though,
what I'm asking,
how could you wean yourself off and keep weight off? Like if you had to lose 150 pounds and you because you were going to die, you felt like you're going to die, your heart's about ready to explode, whatever the reason why you wanted to lose it fast. If you did that, I think Travis, correct me if I'm wrong. The question is there a way for you to wean yourself off that and have an actual old normal?
I've never seen that.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
Generally, if they get off the GLP-1s, then they will fairly well go back, because what you're dealing with is you're trying to keep the pancreas from putting out so much insulin. And
well, but I mean, I think also a lot of it is just like Big Macs and sedentariness. Like I'm saying, if somebody is able to drop that 50, 60 pounds, and then they also
do a keto diet or do a carnivore, whatever,
like go to the gym and get a little, like, could it be a help jumpstart the lifestyle if somebody's so big that, say, they can't even be on a treadmill because their body, and they lose a bunch of weight, and then they're able to actually kind of work on it and do what they need to do. Like, could that be possible and still get off of it? And like, do you think there may not be much study out there for this? I may be like painting you into a corner here.
I've got.
How many angels are there on the head of this pin? You know,
pickles. I don't know.
Pickles. I don't think anybody knows on that. But the majority of patients who lose weight rapidly on the GLP-1 drugs must continue that in order to avoid gaining the weight back. One of the ladies that came to me, she said, I work out for 2 hours, 4 days a week, and I'm according to what it's saying, I'm burning 1,000 calories each time I do that. And she's still gaining weight or not losing weight.
What is she intaking, though?
Well, that's the thing. She's intaking like 1,200 calories.
Oh, well,
and
it's
still,
very low. Yeah, it's very low.
Very low. Still not losing weight. And the reason is that she has insulin resistance in her muscles and in her fat. And no matter the insulin is just kicked higher and higher and higher. Insulin does two things in your body. It controls the amount of glucose in your bloodstream, and it pushes the amount of fat that you have. Because a lot of people who have fat survive when there's famine, or survive during cold weather.
Yeah,
right.
And the reason that this happens is that all the people who have the type 2 diabetes genes, their ancestors survived the cold winters and the famines, so that those genes are in their body. So it's probably not likely. Yeah, you could go down to 1,200 calories and be working out every day, but I saw this woman who was doing all that and still was not losing weight. And we put her on Ozempic and she lost 80 pounds. So, and she's kept them off, but I believe she's still on Ozempic. She's no longer a patient.
So then my next, real quick follow-up would be, if you're on it for the rest of your life, well, I guess you kind of explained this with the other lady, you just change how you take it, but in my brain it'd be like, you just keep losing weight. But
no,
I guess if you change dosage or change how often you take it.
change the dosage so that you're only taking it like every 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
So and that seems like you could wean off at some point, unless your stomach is just completely never going.
Well,
unless it's
but remember,
unless it's the pancreas
these
or something.
People have genetic proclivity to having high insulin resistance.
I have genetic proclivity to be fat. My dad's a big boy too.
Yeah, there you go.
He wants to punch me right now. He wants to slap me.
Have you ever had
I can do it for
serum
you.
insulin test?
If he slips me a $5 bill, I'll slap you for it.
So I have had some panels done, but I haven't for a couple of years. But I mean, I have had a bunch of some insulin panels done. Well, for everything done. My doctor's pretty thorough. But
pre-diabetic.
But no, I'm actually not. Surprisingly, my father's not either, and he's my height and probably has another 60 pounds on me.
So you just got good genetics in that regard.
If you want to call them good genetics, I guess.
Yeah. Some people are just built a little bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably wouldn't look right if you were little skinny dude.
I mean,
I don't have a fiver, but I got 5 ones.
Oh, you want me to slap him?
I was wondering what he was doing over there.
I'll take care of that. We can get it on video here.
Yeah.
So I got good news. I mean, what I believe to be good news in line with what the question that you're posing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we don't have good data, and we've hit on this for several years, or not several years, at least a year, about the quality of data that we get and the quality of the studies that we're seeing, and who funds the studies, where the studies are being housed, what incentives the journals have, and what they have not done right over time. Me and Dr. Roy.
Journals. That's what we were going to talk about.
So I got a clip. I got a clip here. I'm going to play from RFK that if it's structured in a way that's intelligent, I believe this will solve a lot of our problems moving forward. And I'm going to just say my part of it, and I think me and Dr. Roy are close to on the same page on it, is the reason why the studies are designed to bring the results to the study that the pharmaceutical companies want.
Yeah, what result do you
see.
want? I'll make sure it happens. Yeah, absolutely.
Show me the outcome you want, and I'll give you the study.
That's
that
like
feeds that.
Stalin. Show me the man, and I'll find the crime.
And so Dr. Brett Weinstein has talked about this a lot as far as the journal corruption and the how you coming back with, well, Grok told me the FDA and these things said this about it, so that must be true. Well, most people think.
Oh no, I don't believe it must be true.
I'm just saying most people just think that, well, the FDA says it's healthy. I mean, most people don't have the knowledge that we have.
Food pyramid's healthy.
You're not digging into it.
Yeah.
Flip it over.
Let's listen. This is a 2.5 minute little clip from RFK that I believe could be the beginning of the solution to our problems here.
And if you know there's going to be no effort at replicating your study, you have a huge incentive to change.
Oh, no question.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to devote probably 20% of NIH's budget to replication. Every study has to be replicated.
Wow.
We're going to publish the peer review for the first time. We're probably going to stop publishing in Lancet, New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, and those other journals because they're all corrupt.
Yeah.
And even the heads of those journals, like Marsh Angle, who for 20 years was the head of the New England Journal of Medicine, says that we no longer are a science journal. We are a vessel for pharmaceutical propaganda.
No kidding.
Yes.
Because they control the journals. They buy the preprints, right? Which is, and they find out if you want to publish in a journal, you have to pay $10,000 to get the study published. So the pharmaceutical company concocts a study that shows the outcome that they want, that statins work or that SSRIs work, and then they'll publish that. They pay to get that published.
Yeah.
And they order reprints from the journal. The reprints, as you know, are it's a 5 or 6 page document that has the logo of the journal on it. They sell them for enormous profits, and then they give them to the pharmaceutical reps. The hot-looking girls and hot-looking guys who go to the doctor's office, take them out to lunch, give them the preprint and say this product works. If why don't you prescribe it 500 times during the next month, and then I'll be back here to see you, right? With all these kind of implied promises of what's going to happen. And that's how this system works.
That is just astounding.
And so what we're going to do is change the system and say you can't, Richard Horton, who was the head of the Lancet, who really disgraced himself during COVID with the Lancet letter and all this.
I remember.
But he says the same thing. He says, we are no longer science journals. We are about promoting pharmaceutical products, and that's what we do. So unless these journals change dramatically, we are going to stop NIH scientists from publishing there, and we're going to create our own journals in-house in each of the institutes.
And they will become the preeminent journals.
And they're going to become the preeminent journals. Because if you get NIH funding, it is anointing you as a good, legitimate scientist.
Boom.
That's exactly the thing. I've known that the New England Journal of Medicine and JAMA and the Lancet is Great Britain, so it's not as much pushed by the pharmaceuticals, but JAMA and New England Journal of Medicine are. Plus, they're extremely leaning. They are always talking about gun control and that sort of thing. They have probably once every 2 or 3 months, they'll say, are you asking your patients if they have guns in their house?
I bet if I put my gun up here right now, I'd probably kill you both. I wouldn't have to touch it. It would just shoot you both.
You just start shooting. I mean, the whole thing of this to me is it's all perverse incentives. It's all money. So you look at the money that not only pushes pharmaceutical products,
and hush.
Yeah, the golden handcuffs and the golden duct tape that we talked about for so long. So the doctors are told, first of all, they go to medical schools that are funded in the same capacity by pharmaceutical companies, and so they're told to not look at root cause. I mean, one of the first conversations you and I ever had was, I'm a stubborn ass, and I'm like, look, if I can fix this thing on my own, I'd rather know how to fix it on my own. And you were like, okay, then you need to do these things. And so I would do things, and I come back and you're like, well, did it improve, from the last time? And I wasn't always perfect at it. I'm not saying I'm like so religious and great at it, but the moral of the story was I could fix it. But the way that our doctors are trained, and this is no push directly to you because you've had to fight this.
I was trained, 50 years ago.
You're cut from a different cloth, but still the journals, the things that you've been told to that people need to do have come through these same channels, and you don't have enough time to be an expert in every single thing. So you rely on these journals and the information that trickles down to you. And if that is flawed, because you've been told, the people that are supposed to be educating you on an ongoing basis are not giving you the good information, then that is the real problem. So to me, this fix is just huge. I mean,
I resigned from the American Medical Association in about 10 years after I graduated from medical school because I just thought they were so full of crap. I was in the military at that time, and they were coming out with all this lefty stuff, and I just couldn't stand it. So I haven't read either of those in a long, long time. Now, there are other better places that are putting out good stuff, and those were the ones that were getting deleted during COVID. They would cut them down and say deleted, and the same goes for the times that we got kicked off of YouTube because I used the I word. And
we can say it now. The ivermectin.
We can ivermectin.
Yes. Yeah.
But how many times do we get kicked off? About 15 or 20.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think some of them. I fought two of them. I fought several of them. I got two of them back on.
Yeah.
But I think they've taken down at least 5. And I quit posting them on there because they threaten you with strikes. If you get another strike, they'll deplatform you completely, and you'll have to go through a whole big process. So I just won't post them for a while.
Sure.
Which causes a problem with us getting more traffic and whatever, because a lot of people use YouTube. But
I've said it once. I'll say it again. The best thing that came out of COVID was it opened a lot of eyes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit.
And you can't not see it again. I mean, you can't.
There were very few podcasts before COVID, and now there are hundreds. Mm-hmm. Maybe thousands.
God, Joe Rogan was thrown under the bus so hard. So, I mean, there were a lot of people that were thrown under the bus so hard. But he was right. Everybody was right.
He's the king of podcasts. So
yeah.
So anyway, let's pivot a little bit. I don't really. This particular video is not a clip promoting ivermectin the way we promote it, Dr. Roy, but as I see these things, I want to bring it to you. Not for you to shoot it down or not shoot it down. But again, just to bring...
I kind of want to bring up the old 2020 videos of the people just being crazy. Anyway, sorry, continue. I apologize.
Well,
Sorry, I broke up.
No.
I know that ivermectin will work very well on parasites. I also know that ivermectin will work very well on at least one virus.
Well, did you hear that it was just recently FDA approved for the treatment of COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah, interesting.
Well, that happened after we changed president.
Did we drop the emergency use authorization? Is that gone off the COVID shot?
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay. I think they're pulling the COVID shot, aren't they?
They pulled the COVID shot.
So this is I think I have a clip, but I'm not happy with Trump or Kennedy right now, but I understand there's a process for it.
Yeah.
The latest thing that they said, they've taken it off the schedule for healthy pregnant women and healthy kids.
Yes.
And my automatic comeback to that is, why would you give it to unhealthy pregnant women or unhealthy kids?
To kill them, to depopulate.
Well, so
I'm kidding.
I don't understand. I don't understand where the second half of it, where there's any relevance to why it's good for anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm still a little peeved at that, but at least we're saving.
Well, they told us and they told us and they told us that if you took the vaccine, you would not get COVID. And how many times did Biden have it? 4 times.
Yeah, quite a few.
Fauci had it 5. And I've got a patient who's had it 4 times because he works in a building where there are a lot of slime balls coming in. He works for the courts,
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife gets some of that.
So slime balls have the COVID?
Yeah, I guess so. So anyway, this is a side. This is Dr. William Mackus, and he's been in a lot of different clips. But this is a different use for ivermectin, and it's ivermectin paste.
He's under pressure.
He is.
From the Canadians. I don't know whether they've stopped his
He can
license.
throw him out and send him down here.
Yeah.
He and Jordan Peterson they can all come down here as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll gladly accept them. Here's an interesting clip. This is not me or Dr. Roy giving you any medical advice. I'm only looking at this on the surface, Dr. Roy, because I'm coming into a period where my son is going through having some acne issues, and he's
puberty, baby.
He's wanting all these different things to put on and all these different soaps, and I'm just like, just wait. And so I want you to listen to this. Not necessarily you don't have to give a knee jerk reaction or give me your general reaction.
I'll wait on the knee jerk.
Yeah, so I'll just let you hear it. And
Travis,
then
look at me.
I'm not going to jerk your knee.
I'm jerking my own knee here.
Whoa. Let me take the camera off. Hang on. Let's take the camera off.
It's a short clip, 1:30.
Yeah. Ivermectin cream is actually FDA approved for the treatment of rosacea. A lot of people don't know that, but ivermectin cream is actually FDA approved. Your dermatologist can prescribe it. Now, of course, the doctors hesitate to prescribe it, but it's a 1% ivermectin cream. You could treat rosacea. The ivermectin horse paste is actually 1.87%, so it's stronger. It's almost twice as strong. You can literally use it for any inflammatory or autoimmune skin condition. It'll treat cystic acne, which is the worst possible acne you can have, and it'll clear it completely. It'll clear eczema. Like I said, in many cases, it will clear psoriasis. But most impressive of all, it will clear skin cancers. And I now have tons of testimonials from patients who had either basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, melanoma. They started applying the horse paste twice a day.
Horse paste.
Within a couple of weeks,
really is the horse paste.
The lesion, the skin lesion
I'm
start
going
changing.
down. I'm going to stop right down
Just
here.
after a couple of weeks of application, the lesion starts changing. It starts getting smaller. And after a month or two, it may fall off completely and it's gone. You can treat any skin cancer with ivermectin paste, the horse paste, the $8-9 horse paste that you get at whatever veterinary supply.
So before I unleash you on this, Dr. Roy, all I will say is,
why were you pointing over here? Do you have some horse paste?
I think there's some Duromectin up there somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay. I've had it in here before.
Oh, I see it. It's over there. Yep.
Yeah.
Horse paste 1.87.
And so I'll just say this: you and I have talked about it ad nauseum. Whether we believe it works or not is not really important. We're not telling anybody to use it for anything, especially not skin cancer. It's not what we're trying to do. There's a lot of people that are doing it. I'm seeing these things showing up in my reels. I'm showing clips, and they're actually showing time testing. Like something showed up on my thing, and I'm just taking a squeeze of this horse paste. It is horse ivermectin. It's paste, and they're just applying it, and they're showing time lapsed, and they're not doing any other cancer treatments. They're not doing any other thing. So there is no real significant side effects that we know of, especially not topically.
No.
If you're doing it in a real small, if you got a little acne here and a little acne there, what absorption are you really going to get potentially that could harm a person? I don't understand how it would be anything. So I'm not telling you to treat yourself this way, but like for me with my kid, here's why I'm saying it.
Are you giving him horse paste?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Roy's now his doctor. He's going to give him a physical exam here in the next week or so. And Dr. Roy is my filter to say, you've got acne, and I want Dr. Roy. If Dr. Roy could look at everything that he puts into his body or puts on his skin and look at the chemicals, good, bad, or indifferent, I would, if I were just saying, he's not 18 yet, this is the way I would like him to. I'd like to risk on the side of caution. Don't put more and more stuff on your skin, more chemicals, like all the soaps, all the things that we put on us. There's just a lot of.
Still do Clearasil?
A lot of
it.
Thing? Yeah, he's done some of that. So there's environmental toxins that we don't know what they do in the long term. And all I'm saying is this is a simple, cheap, something that he could potentially put on acne.
Sure.
Whatever. That's all I wanted to say. Turn it over.
Yeah, and shoot, I've got precancers all over my head, and I'm.
I got one.
They're probably closed
I've got one.
now.
I'll give you one.
Well, Rural King will
King
be
has it.
open. They'll be open tomorrow, so I'll probably stop.
Yeah, because the stuff I have,
some horse paste?
I bought like 20 of them, and they're a little older. They're a little older.
Give me one.
I'm just going to tell you what kind of conspiracy theorist I was. Back in the early stages of COVID, whenever I was hearing ivermectin was and even Duramectin was a potential treatment for COVID, I didn't know what they were going to try to push. I didn't know what they were going to allow or not allow.
Mm-hmm.
If they were going to not allow ivermectin to be prescribed, which they canceled a lot of doctors for even doing that. Luckily, we had Dr. Roy that was able to give us the actual stuff before this that came through an apothecary. But I got it because, like, what if this really is a pandemic and it goes freaking crazy, and this thing actually works? 20 of them is not a lot, but it's like it wasn't very expensive, so it was worth it to me to stock up.
Well, there were only 2 drugstores in town that had ivermectin, and
Hooks was one you sent us
Hooks, and the other one out in Newburgh.
Where's there a Hooks around here?
It's right off Burkhart.
We used to have
on
a
the
Hooks
east
in Tell
side.
City.
It's right off Burkhart on the east side.
That's a different Hooks. That Hooks was taken over by Walgreens, but this one it has been in service for a long time.
I don't know the name of that street right there.
Vogel.
Is it Vogel? Okay.
Yeah. They're on Vogel, and actually one of the pharmacists is a good friend of mine. And
So Burkhart and Vogel?
Yeah. It's closer.
I know what you're talking about. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
It doesn't look like a pharmacy. I mean, I think it's like a brown brick
It just
building.
says Hooks. Yeah.
I think it's part of a shopping center or something. Like there's multiple things in that building.
Yeah, it's a strip, kind of a strip.
Or strip. Yeah.
Strip area.
Actually, not. They're freestanding.
Oh, is it?
But
It's in an area where there's a lot of
It's an
strips.
area.
Yeah.
It's right down from the candy shop.
Okay.
But I'll talk to Marshall about that, and we'll see what it does.
Well, as his doctor, I would just like you. I mean, I know you can't go too deep into the weeds with everything he may or may. I mean, he's like inundating my wife with. He's all about his skin, and like,
dude,
man,
the
just
ladies,
slow it down.
You gotta the ladies, man.
It's ladies, but I just want him to be careful with the stuff he puts in his body and on his body.
The ladies.
That's right.
Well, as someone who suffered with acne in my teenage years and well into my 20s, I think my acne finally went away about the second year of medical school.
I thankfully never really had an acne problem. No.
I did, and
And I got the ladies.
I had a little bit.
I got the ladies too. In that second year of medical school,
that'll get them.
When they all look at me and said, I don't care how he looks, but he's going to be a
Look
doctor.
at that white coat he's got on
Yeah.
there. Woo.
That's right.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. I've had pretty good skin my entire life, but I did go through a couple phases, and I did that freeze. They did the ice freeze treatment.
Yeah, they never did that.
It worked for me.
They put me on antibiotics for years, and
that
didn't do any good. And they gave me every time I went in, they gave me something to slather on my face. But tretinoin works pretty good now, and it's been around for 20 years, I think. And I'm actually using that to help my face look younger, because now all I can get is, purple-haired old ladies.
Patty's not purple hair.
Well, she's sort of whitish haired. And she's
Where's white and purple the same thing? They're totally different.
Yeah. If it's purple, or if you're of
when I
age,
think of purple hair on a chick, I think that she must drive a Subaru. Or
blue-haired old ladies. I'm not talking about the blue hair that the hippie girls put on. I'm talking about, when they put real stuff in their hair to make it look better. But yeah, Patty's got kind of blondish white hair.
See, my wife's
she's a very pretty lady.
My wife's a redhead, so it doesn't go gray; it goes white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I don't mind it. It's okay. And
his
even for me, I'm like
redhead.
I don't mind if I have gray hair as long as I have hair.
My wife hides it too. She sees it, but I'm like, I can't really tell. It just looks like it's blonde.
I can still pull it just the same.
Strawberry blonde. She's like, it's strawberry white. I'm like, I can't tell the difference.
I don't think Chad heard me.
Yeah.
I didn't. What'd you say?
I said you can still pull it just the same.
Oh, Jesus. So we haven't pissed off.
You're a sick motherfucker. You know that?
Easy. We're trying to keep this PG, Doc.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We passed that up a minute ago. And no
Okay.
kids are still watching 2 hours. So we haven't tried to make Dr. Roy mad in a minute, so I'm going to try to do that. But
I'm pretty good at that.
The only reason I'm doing it,
Polio.
the only reason I'm doing it is because we've been talking about it, and there's a signal being sent that I think as these as RFK and NIH are going to start making vaccines prove themselves safe.
Yes.
I believe one of the ones that you and I have been talking about pretty heatedly is going to be one of the first in the crosshairs.
That's the MMR.
Polio?
No, the hepatitis.
Hep B.
Hepatitis on day one. And the reason why I think this, I'm seeing the signal because Rand Paul went on a big rant on the floor, and this particular clip's coming up. So I think it's going to be one of the ones that, not saying hepatitis B necessarily is bad at all. Not saying it. Not telling you or your family not to get it.
You mean the vaccine?
Yeah.
Well,
hepatitis B is bad.
Yeah. Don't get hepatitis B. Don't have sex when you're pregnant.
The loon that we had on that was saying that 50% of all the neonatal deaths occur in the first day, and that it's all because of hepatitis B. Well, guess what? Australia, Korea, Japan, and another one, I think Germany, they all give Hep B at birth, and they don't have that problem. Now, I wonder if they've got a different type of
vaccine, maybe
vaccine.
Yeah.
But, there are only 3 vaccine makers in the world.
They don't make their own? Japanese don't do their own vaccines?
No, they use somebody else's.
Okay. Well, it would be interesting to know who they use, and I think there should be testing for each of them.
That's one thing that amazed me was that if what the guy was saying, and I don't believe that it's true, but Japanese have no problems with that. Koreans have no problems with that. The Australians have no problems with that. And that is, all of those immunize on day one.
So this
I wonder why.
Yeah. So, I think these are all your questions are going to be up on the interweb forever, and it's going to be part of the AI and the learning of, you're asking these questions, you're a medical doctor 50 plus years, you have these skepticisms of these different narratives, and whatever, and this tension is good. This is where science actually happens. Not me. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I have a lot of questions and I'm curious. So to me, I'm just trying to push the questions that I feel need to be answered, because if my kids have kids, in the not too distant future, I want to have these answers to these questions. Sure. I want to know, So this is why this is important to me. Is I know the Joe Rogan and Aaron Rodgers podcasts always do very well with views, and Aaron Rodgers says a lot of kind of weird shit I don't necessarily agree with, but the underlying argument, just take the Hep B out of this, is super important. It's about gaslighting. And vaccine hesitancy based on everything that we've seen. A lot of people are hesitant that don't even say they're hesitant because they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to get canceled. But let's listen to the clip and we'll see what happens.
It's probably prevented them from getting measles. Yeah. It seems like they work. It's not like they don't work at all. But also, they cause problems. We should be able to look at all these things. Yeah. And that's where you have informed consent. Informed consent is what the possibilities are. Not that they've been lying to you and gaslighting you so that the doctor gets more incentives.
Maybe they have.
Right. But but this is the thing. Like, you should have your decision should be based entirely on that, not the influence of a doctor who is incentivized.
And you should know, Mr. and Mrs. Who are about to have a child, just so you know, this doctor gets a kickback should you get the full 72, 75 vaccine schedules.
That is a lie.
I don't know that that's a lie because I've actually heard it from multiple sources.
How do you know it's a lie? It may be a lie in your neck of the woods, but
it's illegal
Yeah.
It's illegal now.
No, listen.
drugs.
I'm going to push right back on you.
Yeah.
I'm going to push right back on you. It is illegal for a pushback directly on the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Or on the scheduled vaccines.
Yeah.
But where they're talking about it is the office visit, and what they get paid for the office visit is part of it. Part of it is getting the children in the thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So there's an incentive there because it draws people into if you're a pediatrician.
Yeah.
I mean, you only see people once a year unless they have a problem, and you're seeing them more regularly because you have a problem,
Right.
you're trying to fix it. But this is just like a program thing, like 72 vaccines. They're going to spread them out over whatever this is, however many office visits. It's blah, 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 blah. And then they build a business model around that.
That comes from the insurance companies and Medicaid and all of those.
I think that's more what he's talking about, not just getting a kickback because he gave you the MMR. It's you got an office visit, which is $100 and something or whatever that is that they build your insurance company or whatever you're paying cash or whatever, which doesn't seem like a lot of money, but you spread it out over 72 vaccines. I mean, it turns into it's not a little bit of money. It's quite a chunk of money.
Quite a bit of cheddar.
And so it's a perverse incentive. If they were really, really good and they're going to prevent and make us healthier in the long term, our government should make it as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
And pay the doctors what they need to pay to give them. I'm cool with that. Just give me the information. Let's finish.
It's really 72. I think it's like, is it 72 actual
It's
injections,
doses.
or is it a bunch of different things mixed together, like the
Yeah,
MMR?
it's
They
a lot
count that
of
as
things
3.
mixed
It's like one of those things.
Okay. Well,
Whatever the
it is.
number
Let's
is.
just say it's
any of
25.
them. But how about the ones?
Let's say it's 1.
How about the ones that are indefensible, like Hep C or Hep B? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Not Hep
Why would you
C.
even do that if it has side effects and you're giving it to a baby for a fucking sex disease?
On day 1, right? For Hep B is day 1, I believe.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Totally
So again, not to say your narrative has been wrong. What I'm saying is they're throwing signals out there, and I believe this is one of the ones that will probably be in that early melting pot of let's start a group. There's a group of people that won't do the Hep B first day. Like there's a lot of vaccine hesitant people. People having kids are going to say, I don't want those right now, maybe next year, right? And then so let's test them side by side and then see.
And there are doctors, I don't know about in this town, but there are doctors in other states that are refusing to see patients that
refuse vaccines.
Refuse the vaccine.
Yeah, they'll kick you right out. Yeah, I've heard that. That's you're what you're saying is being backed up by things I'm hearing all over the place. I mean, definitely hearing that, which that's a little it's perverse to me. I don't understand that.
You know, all the pediatricians in this town belong to one or the other of the two health systems.
Yep.
And consequently, they're going to tell them to do everything you can. And if they say no, then just go ahead and do it, because that's, you know, if you say no and get the hell out of my office, then they're going to go across the street to the other system's pediatricians and do that.
Well, I mean, this is why this conversation is essential to happen, because if my kid has a kid in 10 years, I want him to have had a really robust
10 years.
10 years. I got one that's 20. So
okay, yeah.
You know, so 25. 5 years. I'd like for him to have a kid.
He's probably already.
He's practicing.
He's spreading the seed.
Yeah. He's practicing. The moral of the story is, though, you know, we all got vaccines. Our kids got many more vaccines.
Yeah.
I want to know the answer. I want to know whether they're absolutely essential, they're beneficial, and the risk of avoiding it is far greater than the risk of getting it and having some kind of long-term thing. I want to start knowing the answers now. And this is like the most important thing out of all the truth-seeking that we do to me, just because it does affect people. You know, if you do get a vaccine injury, people are being gaslit and canceled because they talk about it. That person will never be healthy again. If they have a vaccine injury that, you know, what do they say? A person with a disease only has one wish, and it's not to be sick. A person that doesn't have a disease can have hundreds of you know, goals and visions and go everywhere. But if you're sick and you're, you know, tied to that sickness, all you want to do is be healthy. And that's just it's just, you know, so, and I'm not saying vaccines are causing that. That's not it. But if they are, and people are hesitant, then they're rightful to be hesitant. If they're not, and they're hesitant because we've only been given a little bit of bad information, let's fix it. so we can prevent these things that vaccines potentially can be good for.
I'm on the same.
Yeah, I think we are. I mean, we argue in the little sliver of time and the windows and, well, what if this? Well, I mean, that's science. And again, you're more in a better position. I just know where I'm skeptical on things, and all the thing I can just be loud about it.
And crazy.
Pickles. COVID vaccine?
Crazy. Totally unnecessary and crazy.
72 doses.
72 doses of 17 vaccines between birth and age 18. Holy shit. Most states mandate children get 29 doses of 9 vaccines to attend kindergarten, and children enrolled in daycare in many states are required to get multiple doses of 13 vaccines.
Suzanne was talking about tetanus. The tetanus one is wild.
It's wild because tetanus is not dangerous. Like, I always thought tetanus is going to kill you. No, if you have an open wound with tetanus, you just wash it out and you won't get tetanus.
Not always.
What? Like, and then the number of cases of people that got tetanus, like 0.
Yeah.
It's like,
no,
but they
it's
tricked
not.
us. When I was a kid, I was like,
about
don't
20
get tetanitis,
per
get the
year.
tetanus shot. I was worried to get a rusty.
Well, again, so it's a nuanced argument.
20 per year in the whole United States?
Yeah.
Oh,
tetanus.
Damn. That's ginormous.
I saw during my...
We're giving everybody a tetanus shot to prevent however many, I don't know.
What was that? How many?
Well, but
what's this?
If you don't give tetanus shots, people will start having more tetanus and people will die. Back in,
just like polio.
Well, it's the cure as bad as the disease, and I think it goes up and down all the time. I think it's slippery.
So if I had a tetanus vaccine, but
is tetanus going to be an mRNA in the future?
No,
don't want it.
Hang on. If I get a tetanus,
it's Tdap.
Tetanus
it's
vaccine,
in with 3 others.
Yeah. If I get a tetanus vaccine,
and
then I get bit by a dog, I still have to get a tetanus shot. So why not?
Not necessarily. No, if your tetanus is up to date, if you've had a tetanus shot within the last 5 years, and you get bit by a dog, it's you don't need another tetanus shot.
So that's not where I was going. My point is, like, you can get a tetanus shot if something happens that might give you tetanus, right?
Yeah.
So why not just give the tetanus shot when something happens that might give you tetanus?
What if you do something that might give you tetanus and you don't get a tetanus shot?
Well, that's your own problem. But I'm saying, why do we have to vaccinate for it? Why don't we just have it done whenever something happens that we need it?
That would be an education and training thing that they don't want us smart and making our own decisions like that.
The thing about that is you don't know. A dog bite, yes, that's tetanus. What if you step on a tack in your... How many times have I stepped on tacks in my house?
If I get, let's say I get tetanus, can I still have a tetanus shot that'll fight it off and I'll be okay?
No. Tetanus is about 50% death and about 30% debility after that. So tetanus is bad. I mean, you've got.
I know it's not good.
You've got to put them on a ventilator. You've got to give them things that will keep their muscles from.
Is tetanus the one where water makes them spaz out? Is that tetanus?
No, that's rabies.
Oh, it's rabies. You're right. I'm sorry. Yep.
Rabies is. There are probably only 3 people who have survived rabies. 3 or 4 in the U.S. And everybody else, now you can give rabies serum to people if you get bit, and that's been going on for 100 years, and it works. But if you just get bit by something, or you happen to walk into a cave that has a lot of bats in it that are have rabies, it can be airborne, and that every now and then we get a case or 2 of rabies a year, and it's bad news. Now I've never seen a case of rabies that survived, and I've seen 3 in my life, but I've seen 3 or 4 cases of tetanus, and only one of them survived if it's full-blown tetanus. you got to remember, I did my medical school training in Alabama, which was a rural place, and a lot of people didn't get shots.
Well, so since we're kind of in this vein, part of the reason why Dr. Ron and I do what we do, and Travis is joining with us, is if and when the next thing comes down the pipeline, we need to be much better at making decisions. We need to know who to look to, who to talk to. We also need to look for signals about what may be coming down the pipeline sooner than later. The ironic thing about COVID is leading up to Trump's election, they were predicting a potential major outbreak and a megavirus coming out, and just so happens that coronavirus was in the pipeline. I don't understand how that happened. It was really convenient.
Amazing.
There's another really kooky dude that has pushed something, and I just want people to hear it and be aware that if and when another thing comes down the pipeline, the first thing we need to do is not panic. Second thing we need to do is not pay attention to the same media and the same people that have lied to us time and time again. What we need to try to do is look to the people that are still doctors and scientists and journalists and people that are really good at reading signals and paying attention to people. This particular thing is a little scary, and I want to throw it out there. So it is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but it's actually the same people that were throwing signals to us before. So if another one comes down the pipeline, I just want everybody to know that you just need to only listen to the people that you can trust, and these guys ain't it.
You know, we've had now 3 major coronavirus epidemics in this century. We had the original severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS in 2001, and then Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome in 2012.
MERS.
Now COVID-19 starting in 2019 and just maybe winding down just now. So we know that this is going to be a big issue, and it's happening because these viruses are circulating in bats. Bats are coming into closer contact with people due to climate change and urbanization. So that's going to have to be addressed as well, because I'm expecting we'll have a 4th major coronavirus probably in the next few years, given that current pace. So
who's building
how
it for
we
you?
deal with all of these catastrophic cardiorespiratory virus pathogens.
Okay,
you know, we've had
stop me from cussing. The level of just throwing it out there that we're gonna have another thing. We know it's going to happen because the bats are getting pushed into urban areas because of climate change.
Yeah,
I mean, and this is Peter Hotez.
Didn't cause it
anyway.
The first time it came out of a lab.
Well, we know this now, but this guy is still saying this, and he's saying it recently. And so
who was
I'm
that
saying,
guy?
Peter Hotez. He was on Rogan before, and he's a complete bad actor. But he's snuggled up to Fauci here. He's in the same wing of the whole Gates thing. How's that guy still walking the planet freely? I don't know. But I just, again, I want to throw it out there because I feel like, and I'm not even saying come listen to me and Travis and Dr. Roy, even though Dr. Roy's got a lot of experience and he's good at reading signals. I'm sending him stuff. He's doing his own research. We don't agree on everything. And that's what you want. You want people that are dedicated to saying, hey, the shit's hitting the fan again. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it better this time? These are the people that we need to have conversations with quickly so we can make good decisions and not make knee-jerk, oh, we got to hurry up and do this. Hurry up and do it is never going to do it.
You know, I would hope that they couldn't pull it over on the masses again. But there's also people out there that say that the COVID vaccine is still what you need to do.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
yeah.
So I don't know.
And
there's still idiots walking around with masks on.
They're going to disagree with RFK because RFK is on Trump's team. Yeah. Just like they disagreed with Elon because Elon was on Trump's team, even though I say this firmly and strongly. If he were on Biden's team or Obama's team doing the exact same thing, we wouldn't have anywhere close to the same reaction.
No,
it's all affiliated to Trump derangement syndrome, and it's all
TDR
swooped it TDS
or TDS.
It's all swooped into that same. Just I don't understand. I don't understand why the guy has that kind of power over people's brains, but it certainly has been infected a lot of people. Anyway, I since I had all the humor in the beginning. I can't really end it on a happier note unless I can find another.
There's no humor in this. The psychological, the psyop that was created for the United States to see how much they could make people do just by peer pressure was crazy. It's crazy. Nothing happy about it. Nothing funny about it.
Insane. So all that we can hope is, podcasts like ours, you said their eyes are open now. A lot of people.
Yeah. It opened a lot of eyes that weren't open before. Me included. Yeah. I would have blindly said, the vaccines, I should get vaccines. Yeah. But this whole, the COVID and what has happened has made a lot of people view things in a different light.
So the question is, can we bring more people into the light? And I've seen, like, a lot of the podcasts I listen to now, if you guys don't notice this, that pay attention to the podcast, probably 80% of the clips that I share are from former liberal, left-leaning people, Rogan included. I share a lot of stuff of
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse is, they were, not physicians, they're doctors, but they were,
they're scientists
in liberal colleges, and they're liberal. They're very liberal in a lot of the things that they say. RFK is a former Democrat. A lot of Tulsi Gabbard's former Democrat. We're only saying this just because, we don't know what the truth is in any given situation. All we can do is kind of get as close as we can, and try not to make bad decisions that are going to harm us in the long term. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. At least that's what I'm trying to accomplish, and you guys decided to agree to play along with me, so I appreciate it very much.
I'm just riding on the train, man. I'm
just riding on the train.
I'm here for the meal ticket, baby.
Yeah.
We still need to go to lunch, don't we? That was.
I'm here for the few shots of whiskey every week, or bourbon. Excuse me, a few shots of bourbon every week.
So the other thing that I'm waiting and I'm pushing and I'm hoping. A lot of the things that we've been pushing on for the last year are starting to come to fruition. The medical journals are one. The mRNA platform, to me, needs to just die. They should cancel it right now. If I can, if I do have a grandkid next year and they're forced to have vaccines, I want to make sure at very least none of them are mRNA. That's like the one thing I will not allow at all.
I agree.
I'll go down fighting. Or I'll lose the relationship with my kid trying to not get my grandkid to get it. I believe that strongly about it. So anyway, I don't know if we can't end in music. I feel like having something a little more upbeat to end the show. We had I'd like to save the AI stuff to the end. I thought I had one more funny one, but I don't know that I do. You guys have anything else to add? Anything you want to chime in?
Not really.
I know we're right at the end here. Well,
I could try to tell you a joke. Let me tell you a joke real quick.
Do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was this pirate, right? He walked into a bar.
Arg.
All right. So he walks to a bar. Bartender says, "What can I get you to drink?" And he says, "I'll have a whatever. I'll have some mead." And he goes. The bartender says to the pirate, says, "You've got your ship's wheel in your pants, right?" And he goes, "It's driving me nuts." That's my joke of the day.
That's pretty good. That wasn't bad. On that note, I don't know that I can top that with any clip or addition.
That's a pretty good one.
As always, I thank everyone for listening and all the encouraging words that I get. I don't know if Roy or Travis gets any encouraging words. I have people telling me all the time, keep doing what you're doing. We're always trying to improve on the show. I'm trying to improve on it and make it to where we can get the messages that we feel are important out. If you or anyone you know is interested in supporting the program,
or if you need some ivermectin,
Dr. Roy has ivermectin. We don't need to do a full plug on it. He sells it as cheap as anyone. It's a strong dose. It's definitely for the treatment of COVID. He's a licensed doctor. He gets that through a proper channel. I think it's the fairest price that you're going to get. Or if you're a business owner and you contribute in some small way, we would like to have more programming. There's a lot of topics that we feel are important to cover that aren't doctor related necessarily. A lot of AI stuff, education stuff we want to promote and work on, but we need money to do that. So if you're able to help in any way, I've got several really generous people that are just giving us a little bit of money here and there when they can, and that's super helpful. And I appreciate all of you all for doing that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Anyway, sending love to you all. Appreciate it. See you next time. Thanks, Travis. Thanks, Dr. Roy.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Take care of yourselves.
Have a good night, everybody.
Get outside, eat good food. That's what Dr. Brett Weinstein always says.
Yeah.
Get outside.
Eat
good food.
There you go.
Be well.
Right.
Words to live by.
That's right.
Have a good night.
See you guys.